Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new series. This is going to be my weekly audio journal podcast called College Life. This is where I talk about all my college experiences, fun I've had, and social experiences, and everything in between. First, I want to address the elephant in the room. I'm sure you guys noticed, I don't have a camera. And that is because my camera was not ready for today's podcast. It is currently charging up. So you're going to have to make do with audio for now. Now let's get right into the podcast topic of the day, which is actually going to be many topics. And I'm super excited to get into the first one where we talk about my college week. And this will be a weekly thing, and I'm so excited to be doing this. So, for a little bit of context, this is actually my second week of school. I wrapped my first week last week, and there really wasn't much to talk about for that podcast, so I figured, why don't I combine 2 weeks together for the first episode? So we're going to have a lot to talk about, and we'll be talking more than just college. We'll be talking about hobbies and everything else, social events, just really anything I've gotten into in the last week. So let's start off with Monday, which was, give me a second, guys. I gotta check the date. I'm pretty sure, it was Monday, January 12th. That was the official start of Missouri State starting back up school again, and the startup of classes. Now, for the record, there wasn't really much to do, but I'm taking 4 classes and I'll go through each and every one. So for the first class I had on Monday, we had an American history class. I don't remember the precise name, but it specifically studies history after the American Civil War. So kind of more that Reconstruction phase and going into modern days. So in that class, we got there early. This was kind of funny, and I remember, just think about this as I remember back, but I thought my classroom was room 202, and I saw people going to room 203. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And then I realized I messed up. So thankfully it was just the next classroom down, but I was like, oh yeah, I was almost late because I had the wrong room number. I probably should have put 2 and 2 together, but, it is what it is. So I walked in, set my stuff down, and then class begins. We start a little icebreaker where we kind of just talk about who we are, what's our major. Then we get right into the meat, if you will, which is probably as boring as it's ever going to get, syllabus stuff. And that is just it's your typical first day of school. You're going over what the class expectations are, policies, how things are going to be graded, what's not going to be tolerated in the classroom, the teacher's expectations for homework, tests, everything like that, even the schedule. It's just your kind of roundabout typical day. And then that basically ended up taking all the class period. She actually let us out early, which was beautiful. And then I headed off to my second class and last class for Monday, which was Mass Media and Society. That was, boring to start with because, we went over the syllabus for a little bit. But then we got into the actual course material, kind of introductory of what is mass media and society, kind of what is media. It's kind of your basic definition. So media is kind of a medium, for those that don't know. And it's kind of a way to express culture. So other mediums were writing, artwork, stuff like that. And then after the class went out, he actually told us we're going to be having lab groups on Wednesdays, which I will get to when we talk about Wednesday. After that class got out, I had nothing else to do for the day. There was almost no homework. And so I just ended up going home. And that wraps, the college for that day. And then we get to Tuesday. Tuesday was not a great start. And for some reason, I had in my brain that I was going to make the best decision of my life, which was to give up at 5:45 a.m. Well, I'm never doing that again because that was such a hard day to get up. But once I was up and going, it was easy peasy. I ended up getting my breakfast and taking it with me. I actually ate it in the car in the parking lot while I was trying to wait for classes or the buildings to open up. And then I finished my breakfast. I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and head over to my class. Well, it turns out, as soon as I got there, that the doors were locked. It was before 7, so doors unlock at 7. And it was freezing cold outside, so I was like, oh no, I have to sit out here and wait for the doors to unlock. Thankfully, it wasn't super long, because there was a staff member that came along just a couple of minutes later, and she unlocked the door. I followed close by. I don't know what she was thinking, but she didn't even look back. I followed her in before the doors technically opened up. And it's like she never knew I was there. I also wonder if it was she maybe knew I was there but never chose to acknowledge me. I really don't know, but I just think it was so funny how that situation went down. And my first class that day started at 8. I got in before 7. And I realized that there was, something due before class, which I actually did during the weekend, but then I realized I could, finish up the assignment, which wasn't due. The third part wasn't due until Friday. So the assignment was on a platform called Packback. I don't know if you guys know what Packback is, but if you guys don't know, it's basically the software that is designed for classroom discussions. That's kind of outside of the platforms that we use, or a platform that we use at Missouri State. And it's basically we use it to ask questions and respond to classmates' questions. Now there's a tricky part with that where you have to hit a minimum score of 60 in order to get full points on everything. So on both your responses and your question, you have to hit a minimum score of 60, which is pretty hard to do when you're just asking a simple question. You have to ask the question. Then you have to provide a description for the question. And the description is not enough. Sometimes you actually have to get up to that score, you have to bold or italicize certain words. You have to add pieces of media, which is always a pain. But, I do what I gotta do to get the points. And then classroom doors open. I was like, okay. Walk in. And there was actually kind of a nice surprise. For those of you guys who watch my vlogs, you remember my friend Alex. Well, his sibling Danae and I have the same biology class, so it was kind of nice to have a familiar face, someone I knew. So shout out to Danae if they are watching this. Anyway, so yeah, biology, it was probably one of the more boring classes I actually had overall for that day, because we went over syllabus. Then we talked about the science of learning, which, I could kind of see, applies a little bit, but I just kind of felt like it was a waste of time. Why are we talking about this? But just in case, I ended up taking notes, and just in case if this information was on the test. After, that whole lecture, she let us out. And I didn't have anything to do, really, after that, because my next class wouldn't be until 12:30 p.m. 12:30 p.m. So I had a lot of time to kill. And So I just ended up like working on a little bit of assignments here and there. There wasn't really much to do, so it was just like a couple things. And then got some lunch in the PSU. And at the PSU, they have like multiple food vendors. They have like a Starbucks, Panda Express, Chick-fil-A, Freddy, Subway. They have one other place, but I don't know the name. It's like some sort of Korean restaurant or Japanese. I don't know. But I ended up getting Freddy's for lunch, which was always so good, so delicious. And then I decided to go find my second class, which my second class on Tuesday, Thursdays is language and music. Which, it wasn't the ideal class I wanted to take. It was like some sort of sound recording class. But that section was full, and thankfully I picked out like 5 classes, so I had 4 options. So that was, good of me. But I ended up waiting outside for like an hour or 2, and then we got to, I went inside and we kind of did a little introduction, which was actually, it was nice because the teacher there, so chill, and he actually did some bonus stuff for us. Actually, I need to get a glass of water. I'll be right back. My mouth can get dry if I talk for a long time. So anyway, as I was saying, the teacher was really nice. He's actually modeling our Tuesday, Thursday class after his Monday, Wednesday class, which he's teaching the same class. So on Monday and Wednesday, their class is 50 minutes. For Tuesday, Thursday, it's an hour and 15 minutes. But he's like, I don't see like the point in keeping you guys past 50 minutes. So he changed the course to make it 50 minutes. And also, he said that this semester, his Wednesday class gets 2 Mondays off. So he's giving us 2 Tuesdays off, which is incredible. I mean, like as we'll get to this week, you'll find out like it was pretty a short week for the most part. And we got out of class. Now, I still wasn't done for the day because I had SAC All Council. And if you don't know what SAC is, that SAC is an acronym that stands for Student Activities Council. And they are in charge of putting all the different types of events on campus. So we had all the what's it called? I'll call them departments. There's like campus events, live entertainment, film, etc., etc. We all met together and just like the proposals. There was like some Stuco presentations, or I mean like student body presentations, and then time to go afterwards. Wednesday comes around, it's kind of more the same routine. Like got American history class, we started talking about the industrial, like the little bit of reconstruction after the Civil War. I took a lot of notes that day because the notes are going to be very important. And then mass media, this was the exciting part. We had our labs for media, so it's like 16 people in my lab group. And in that lab group, like we were trying to get to know one another, different students break out, get to know each other. And then this one particular student comes up to me, and she messaged me on Instagram, and I'll kind of give you the backstory on that, where I posted a story on my Instagram account with specifically on the MSU community where I'm trying to find new friends, and she offered a Bible study group. And she came up to me, introduced me to herself, in person. Her name's Haley, so shout out Haley, because I know she might be tuning into this. But she was just so nice. And little did I know, like, that we would connect quite a bit. But that's, like, for later. That's, like, for this week. I'll get into that. Anyway, so yeah, we had our breakout sessions, and then we discuss culture as a map. And we have to create our own, like, choose a piece of medium and connect it together to, like, other things and kind of show it as a map, which I'm super excited to do. Thursday, it's kind of a repeat day. Not really much to say. I mean, it's just kind of like once you kind of get in the college setting, it's like with classes, it's very repetitious. So I'll be kind of like, giving you little updates here and there in future episodes of college life about how classes are going, but I'm mainly going to focus on other aspects. That's kind of why it feels like I'm speed running this, or at least the classes. And Fridays, I don't have classes at all. Just, I get to stay home and chill. So we're going to fast forward to Monday this week, which was, I believe, the 19th. Yes, it was the 19th. We're actually, no. We're going to fast forward to the 20th because the 19th was MLK Day, so no class. And then on the 20th, I just had biology. This was like the best week ever in my eyes, where it's just like 3 days, or no, 2.5 days, really. I just had biology class. We didn't meet for our SEC All Council, so that was really like, I was home by like 9:30 that day. Wednesday, we didn't have our lab group because we didn't meet for lecture on Monday. So we had our lecture in media and, of course, history. Kind of same old. And then that brings us to yesterday, Thursday, where classes went about as normal. In the evening, my friend Haley, the Bible study group that I mentioned that she invited me to, at least I think I mentioned it, started up that night, and I decided to go. And it was something I'm gonna keep going to because it was such a wonderful experience. I made another friend there who's actually the leader, Aaron. So shout out to Aaron because I know he's subscribed. So yeah, shout out Aaron. And then one other person, Johnny, kind of showed up a little late, but hey, that's okay, We dipped into the book of Mark, kind of end of chapter 14 and a little bit into 15. And then it was just a very fruitful discussion. And like, as I was getting to know Aaron before the study, like, he loves video games and music, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, we could definitely geek out about video games. And then, like, we went downstairs, me, Haley, and Aaron went downstairs. They went to get some coffee, which it was pretty late, but, no judgments. And then I remembered that Missouri Comic-Con is, going to be in this area. And I asked, like, if we wanted to get a group to go, and I think that maybe we're all going to go or something. It's, like, in April. So that's it. I'm very looking forward to that. I'm like, if we get a group to go, I'm planning to make a video on it, documenting the whole experience. It's in a different place this time, which surprised me. But, I don't mind. And then it gets to the end of the Bible study group, and I do the I basically did the kind thing and offer Haley to drive her back to her dorm, which, I think she really enjoyed it. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but, it was nice getting to talk with her on the way back, and I think we talked about, playing board games and doing game nights, so I'm planning to do that real soon, and I might vlog that too. But yeah, that pretty much brings us up to date, everything school-wise. And today I'm actually meeting Haley for lunch, right? Like, after I get finished recording this podcast, I'm going out to campus to meet Haley and her friend Abby for lunch at the PSU. So that's something I'm really looking forward to today. And then tonight, my parents and I are having some friends over for dinner. So I've got some to-dos I need to do later today, which is going to be great. But that was pretty much my week in college and social. Now we're going to dip into the fun topic of hobbies. In the world of Lego, I have been really trying to sort through my massive collection. Get all the parts sorted by color. It's a lot to go through. I have like a whole wooden chest, and there's still 2 other containers you need to go through of parts. So that is really taking most of my time, and I'm planning to make some Lego videos. Probably not today, but maybe this weekend, talking about sets that I've built up that are really important to me and kind of bring a lot of nostalgia. And I'm going to be doing that for every set regardless. But that was pretty much it in the world of Lego. Oh, one other thing. I just remembered. I am changing the way I collect Lego, where I'm going to be looking into yard sales, flea markets, and like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, buying used collections and then cleaning them and sorting them. Honestly, that's just seems like to me a better investment in my hobby than buying the new sets, because some of the new sets are just outright expensive and just not even worth it at all. So that was that was my weeks in Lego, I'll put it that way. And really, in other hobbies, like I need to pick up gaming. I've got a whole backlog of games I need to get to. So I'm hoping to maybe dip into some Batman Arkham Knight, potentially this weekend. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And that's pretty much it in terms of hobbies for the week. Let's see, movies. Let's talk about movies. I haven't really seen any good movies recently, like in the last 2 weeks. There are some ones that I'm excited about. Like, I'm excited to see The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm hyped for 100%. No trailer for that yet. And then Avengers Doomsday, I'm not really, that excited for it. But I'll watch it. Anyway, I don't plan on keeping up with the MCU like hardcore like it used to. It's not the same. And also, like, in my opinion, Sony's still doing a good job with their section of like the MCU with Spider-Man. But I think like the last 2 Marvel things I'm going to be watching are Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. At least in theater. If another Marvel movie turns out to be really good in between, Doomsday and Secret Wars, then I'll consider watching it, but it's not likely. Well, I mean, that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to talk about in this podcast. I don't have any listener feedback, really. So I want to thank you guys for listening in and bearing with me. I know I wanted to have a camera set up today, but I did not get the luxury of having it ready. So hopefully next week, by the time the next episode 2 of College Life is up, I will actually have a camera this time. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening in. Stay tuned for the next College Life episode. And have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.